Hello, everyone. This is Alyssia, Liz, and Ant, and we are serving Decoded. And we are back this week to discuss episode 2 of the third season of Servant, titled Hive. Hey, guys, how are you?
Hive.
Good.
Good. So we left off last week with Donkey and a really great opening to the season. And today we begin with the family bustling about and prepping for this mommy and me style get together. So before we get going, we just kind of wanted to briefly talk about what we felt like the theme of this episode is and what they were wanting us to take away from it before we kind of go through and recap and point out some of the cool stuff that we noticed. So what are your all's thoughts on that? Liz, do you want to start?
Well, yeah, I thought the title was great, Hive. It made me think about topics they touched on of family, groups, community, insiders versus outsiders. I thought we got a lot of that throughout the episode. A colony is that's the bees themselves, and then the hive is the home. So the Turners are this colony, and the house they live in is the hive. In a colony, in a bee colony, everyone has a very distinct role. Sure. And if just one bee doesn't do their role, the whole colony can collapse. And I think we saw a lot of that in Dorothy and Leanne kind of fighting over what's right for the family or the colony. And Sean, the drone, just kind of sitting there pacifying the two queens at war. I saw a lot of parallels in beehives and this Turner family saga in this episode. I'm going to be talking about bees throughout this whole episode, so be warned.
Be warned.
Be warned. Buzz, buzz.
Oh, honey.
It also reminded me of back in one of the seasons when Dorothy was talking to Sean about how he could name the next one that it was a girl and that she knew that they were going to clash. She could already feel it. It just brought me back to that moment too, as we see this struggle, like you said, between the two queen bees. It just brought that to light again.
Well, the energy, there's a clash of energy throughout the episode of Dorothy. Dorothy's kind of hypomanic, buzzing around, prepping for this party, really excited about having these women over and wanting both to be part of this. I forget how she phrases it, this good group, the right people, wanting to be a part of them and wanting them to accept her, and trying to engage Leanne in accepting them. And this clash where Leanne is like, no, no outsiders, just us, just the family. Isn't the family enough? Aren't we enough? And, Sean's like, well, sometimes mothers need a little bit more. Rule in terms of the mood. She's responsible for the mood of the colony by the pheromones she releases. So kind of a warring faction or a warring of mood of Dorothy's hypomania and Leanne's paranoia. Each infecting the house or the colony.
And, when you rewatch the pilot, you'll see that Sean has a tattoo of a bee and a honeycomb hive on his arm.
That's
And back
right.
then when we were talking about the tattoos, I don't know if it was privately or if it was in one of our other podcasts, but we did a lot of research then too. And one of the things that we learned was that the honeycomb and the bee tattoos symbolize cooperation that exists within a group. So I think this is also evident of Sean's involvement and signifies his, loyalty and cooperation within this family unit, his group.
His role as the peacemaker.
Right. Yeah. Well, and it also says that a bee is a spiritual traveler and that honey's is spiritual input. And so thus the honeycomb is a place where spiritual input can be stored.
Ah,
So I think that's interesting too, to think about the evolution that Sean's going through and perhaps having always had it be possible that he would receive that spiritual awakening within him. It was just a matter of time. So it could also kind of symbolize that as well.
he's been such an angry character in
Right.
seasons 1 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
And he now really seems at peace.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, did you guys catch this one little? We're gonna do more like Easter egg stuff later towards the end, but in the very beginning of the episode, when Leanne is finding out about this party for the first time, and why didn't you tell me? And Dorothy, talking about we want, this is an opportunity we have to take for Jericho. There's this kind of mellow, happy music playing while Sean is preparing the goat, and it's playing throughout until Dorothy and Leanne are kind of fighting over, should we allow this to happen or not? Dorothy says, this is a great opportunity. What kind of mother would I be if I didn't take it? And Leanne's, frowning. And then Dorothy says, or maybe we don't. Maybe we don't have the party.
Mm-hmm.
And the music stops abruptly. And it wasn't like Sean went over to the stereo and turned it off or turned the volume down. It just stops.
Huh.
And then later on, when Leanne has acquiesced, the music's back on, and Sean's, cooking again with mellow music playing.
Yeah.
But it was a weird moment.
Definitely interesting. And in the past, a lot of times the music he plays is kind of hard rock. It's something that's really
right.
Yeah. So it's a shift in the style of the music too. Let's talk a little bit about, let's talk a little bit about the paranoia that weaves through the episode.
Mm-hmm.
And what were some of the things that really stood out to you?
Well, to go back to Liz's point before about like bee pheromones controlling the environment, there's like we're on like 3 layers of like gaslighting and control.
Yes.
It's because we have, Dorothy trying to be a mother and trying to be normal, and like they're so infatuated with Jericho, which I know, I mean, you have a child that becomes your world, it becomes like your whole everything, but it seems like they're like super focused in a way. They're like not noticing the dangers around them that come from like heart, like, keeping Leanne as part of the family. And then on top of them being so distracted with the baby, Leanne is like, no, this is my family now. And like, while that may be true, she's like become like not obsessive, but I guess in a way like abusive. She's like, this is my family and this has to go this way. And like, you have the baby, you have what I wanted to give you and what you wanted from me, and now like you have to like adhere to my nonsense. Not that it's nonsense, trauma is trauma, but she's using it more as like a tool of like keeping everything like within the house and keeping people out, and like everything. Well, there might be a danger.
Oh, I think that's a great point, Aunt.
Mm-hmm.
Keeping them in the house. I think that's a great point.
Right. She's keeping everything like contained, like, like you're my family, and it's like this is all we need. Like we don't need anybody else. Like,
Well, yeah, she says that, and
It could be, yeah,
you're right. And I mean, yeah, she says, aren't we enough? Why do we need these other people? Isn't
very,
us enough?
very, very strange and controlling because, like, no, of course not, but also yes, because it's hard to know who's in danger, I guess.
Yeah,
I
certainly.
I think we're meant to understand that there is a very real danger coming
Right.
if we believe in the supernatural stuff
Well,
that's been
it
hinted
depends.
at.
It depends on who you're worrying about. Yeah.
But I agree with you.
Mhm.
Lan has become very controlling. They made this kind of unspoken deal at the end of
Mhm.
last season.
I mean,
You get the baby, and I'm part of the family proper.
yeah, it's not. Well, I don't even think it was really unspoken as so much as to like they didn't realize the like weight of the terms,
Yeah,
if they even wanted to.
I mean, she is intent on staying, and she says that in the episode. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not leaving this house.
Right.
I She's completely severed ties with the cult to the
Mm-hmm.
extent that she believes she started a war.
Mm-hmm.
And leaving the cult means she needs a new family. And she's found her new family.
But now she's forming like a cult of her own, keeping
Exactly.
contained. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Yeah. Let's talk about perspective. So we know that she has these fears, and it's kind of hard to discern what of those fears are valid in terms of there being an actual danger, and which of those fears are actually just fear and not actually really going on. One of the
Imagined
things that we
versus real.
noticed, hmm,
So I'm sorry, I said imagined versus real.
thank you,
Mm-hmm.
yes. What is she imagining versus what is real? And just the first example that comes to my mind was the person who was there servicing the house.
Mm-hmm.
He was walking down the stairs and she was scared. And somebody on Reddit mentioned that the guy had two different shoes on when he was walking down the stairs. And that is true. He did. But if you paid attention when he got to the landing and was standing there from a distance talking to her, he
Mm-hmm.
no longer had the two different shoes and the knife. Now it was the same shoe on each foot and a screwdriver.
Right.
And so I believe that because of that, that was the reality for whatever this reality is.
Mm-hmm.
And that when he was walking and we were close up on the stairs, that was the paranoia, right? So, or that wasn't what was really going on. It does make you question things all the way back, but
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's the point of the show. Like every time
Yeah.
we make a new discovery or learn something new, then it makes you question everything
But
else. And
they're getting more blatant with it though. Like
but
it's not
yeah,
because this is I think this might be one of the first times that they've had like a forced perspective thing. Not forced
yes.
perspective thing,
Because in
but I
the
mean like
past we might have not seen. Sorry, Aunt. Go ahead.
a specific point of view, not a forced perspective, but like you don't necessarily see from anybody's like literal eyes, I don't think.
Right. Yeah. In the past, we've only seen it from one point of view, whatever that
Mm-hmm.
point of view is. We don't
Mm-hmm.
see it from a different point of view. Exactly. So maybe this is revealing and answering some of those questions of what is really going on here.
Mm.
Right. So
Yeah,
one of the things earlier that um, was pointed out is that perhaps in terms of the camera work, when we're in that extreme close up state,
Mm-hmm.
that's when we're in the lens of whatever paranoid delusion or worry is happening. But when we're
Right.
in a wide frame looking from a distance, that is when it's a more objective perspective or somebody else, not the person who's paranoid.
Right.
I think there were some other examples of that.
yeah. Well, I think it's established, and it's directed. This episode is directed by M. Night's daughter, right?
Right.
Um,
She wrote it too, I think, with another
oh, I didn't know that.
She
I
did.
I
think
thought
yeah.
that she directed it.
She did both.
Yeah, I think it's established pretty early on that the extreme close-ups are, POVs from the from the mind of the the paranoid mind of whoever's imagining what they're seeing. One example being, we talked about this repod, Mr. Smiley, when Leanne comes down the stairs and sees him, and he appears threatening when we see just his mouth, the lower half of his face.
Mhm.
The way he's speaking to Leanne seems very aggressive, but then when it pulls back and it's the wide shot, the accepted reality or objective reality, he seems much more benign.
Right. Well, that's another perspective thing, like from Leanne's like paranoid perspective, or just like, a house proper.
Right. That's just one example.
Hmm.
Yeah. No, I think those are very good examples.
Can we talk about the pacifier?
Yes, let's talk about the pacifier.
That was a fun little trick.
Okay, so first, Aunt, tell me what you saw and what you thought, and then Liz, you can tell us because I think we had some differing.
We might have a
opinions
fight
here.
right now. Yeah.
Yeah, so let's hear it.
No,
We had
I
a
don't
little
have a
kitty
fight.
Our first fight. No.
When the lady reaches back onto the bed, like, I don't know, I watched it a few times and I noticed that like she might have had a snag on her sleeve, but I didn't see it on the floor. So initially I thought like it wasn't there, and then she like, I don't know, manifested it or whatever, but like it does seem kind of like she may have like had it into her like bracelets, or like, like palmed it
Yeah.
to make it seem like it. But there's no reason to show that because like Leanne couldn't have seen under the bed, unless that was another like what she's picturing because paranoia. But it didn't feel the same. It didn't feel the same as those other like
It didn't. I
paranoid
agree.
views.
We see her pull her hand and her arm back to her side and kind of go behind her, which would indicate that maybe she was
Like had it in her
going into her
pocket.
pocket or
Right.
had it in her sleeve, something like that, right?
Mhm.
But then when she bends down, it is kind of hard to tell
Yeah.
what occurred there. What did you feel like you saw, Liz?
Well, if you remember to 15 minutes ago, I made us go back and rewatch the scene until we got to the shot that I found after rewinding about 20 times when I was watching it, where there's a very specific, definitive shot of the pacifier under the bed. And then you see the woman's hand go under to retrieve it. However, and Aunt, I think this is a really neat point that you made about the camera work, the POV perspective. We're seeing a wide shot, an objective reality shot,
right?
But the vibe is still very heightened,
right?
Fear and paranoia, because Leanne's screaming, what are you doing? You didn't drop the pacifier. You had that the whole time. It was in your pocket. What we see is what looks like her putting her hand in her pocket and then going under the bed and kind of palming the pacifier.
So we get both.
Very sus.
Right.
What I believe happened in objective reality is that the woman needed to come up with a lie and drop the pacifier. No, she had it in her pocket.
Right.
And then made it be, like reached in her pocket, went down, and then kind of like, popped it under the bed so that she could retrieve it.
Right.
Now, let's say that she did that. Do we think that means that she's a cult member, or could it just be that she was a nosy neighbor?
Well, that's the implication. I mean, also, they don't show anything without having a reason, but like, what was she looking for then?
Right.
Like
in Leanne's room where, and they made a point of, previously on, the burglar goes into Leanne's room to retrieve the dagger. There would be reason to believe that a cult member would go into Leanne's room to look for something.
They have the dagger, though.
They already have the dagger back, but maybe there's something else they want to retrieve.
Do you think that there is any purposeful tie between the pacifier being under the bed in season 1 when Leanne went to reach for it?
What was the
Ooh,
contact? Because I don't remember.
That's what I
yeah.
can't remember. I should have looked that up before we did this, right?
Yeah.
I saw the picture, but I can't remember the context of why she went under the bed for it.
I think that would give us more information about why that would be important. Why the callback.
And did she get it or did she leave it there? Therefore, could the pacifier have been the one that was already there?
If it were the original pacifier, the woman with the baby, there'd be no reason for her lie or that story. How would she know there's a pacifier under the bed to conveniently?
That's what I'm saying. Maybe she saw it, or maybe
Sorry, I see what you're saying.
yeah, maybe she saw it so she knew it was there.
But then why the hand in the pocket thing?
Because everything needs, because it goes back to the same thing as the hive. When they talk about the hive, they're like, oh, maybe it was a wind that knocked it into the chimney, that knocked it into the, like, it's all like plausible deniability. Like, it's just another way to, like, it's just they're doing that, and sometimes it's vocal, and then sometimes it's like a visual thing like that. Like, they don't show the hive, but they talk about it, but then they show the pacifier.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's both.
Yeah.
And Shyamalan loves this stuff.
Well, I think we can all agree that woman was suspicious.
Definitely
Oh, for sure.
suspicious. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
We can agree there for sure. Yeah.
And the baby looked different. It looked older.
Her baby?
Her baby looked
The
older.
one she was holding, the baby she was holding in that papoose looked much smaller and less like the one that she had downstairs.
Right.
Does that matter?
Yeah, it matters.
But like, what?
Like, is it a fake baby? Did she go up there pretending like she had a baby and she was gonna go nurse? Like, why is she up there? What's the point?
But wouldn't they have noticed downstairs when everybody was singing, or like when everybody was like I mean, I guess maybe you're not paying that close attention, but you would notice if somebody didn't have
a mom,
a real baby. Like,
I think it's one of those weird things that it's just part of Servant that will all make sense in the end.
Mm-hmm.
Or not. God, I love this show.
Yeah, but
this is probably my favorite episode.
I loved it.
I really loved this episode.
So good.
I enjoyed it quite a bit.
No complaints.
So can we talk a little bit about Julian and Vera and that whole thing?
I don't know what to make of it. She's great, but I love her otherwise. So I don't know if it's associating the actor with it, but like I don't know. She doesn't seem like a problem to me.
See, you're blinded like Julian, Aunt.
Yeah, but she's so like the goofiness is what I think tips it off. Like, I don't think she's like strange, but I don't think she's strange in like a threatening way. I think she's just like the other one. Like, she's like just quirky because he's like attracted to that. Or
I do think some of the things that she said and did kind of matched up with what Leanne was warning Sean about.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was interesting that we got that explanation before Vera entered the episode, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Either way, it was still in tandem with.
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought the way that she came in when she says, "We got your back, girl."
But she's being a goofball. Like, she's just goofy. She's just.
But Leanne did say that, they would say things that sounded like they were trying to fit in. It was a little off. Same thing with clothes that they would wear. But again, yeah, I mean, I think that's the point, right? Is that they want us to be feeling this way or questioning this.
Plausible deniability. But I mean, but
to me, it looked like her pants were two different patterns, one on each leg.
I have to find that and see that. Yeah. That's kind of strange too.
And then she called, Julian's like, "Hey, look at all these cameras we have. Now you know exactly where all the cameras are." And
he's pretty seat of the pants too. Like, he's pretty quick to involve everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Not involve her, you know what I mean? Like, not really think about like, yeah, sure, of course. Like, we're sleeping together or whatever. I can trust you, but that's not necessarily the way.
And I thought her calling him Maestro was interesting.
Yeah.
I just think it's an interesting choice of words that brings me back to, what role is Julian playing in all of this, or his family in general.
Mm.
I'm not suspicious of her being a cult member. I'm wondering if it's something a little more benign, like she's someone that Papa Turner might have hired to keep an eye on Julian, and maybe
That's
Dorothy might.
interesting.
I
Like
like
she
that. I
knows,
think
Yeah,
that's
like maybe
a
she knows
good,
Courtney.
maybe.
maybe.
Yeah,
I like
Something
that.
like that.
Yeah,
but
that's
yeah,
a good
I don't think she's a big threat, but I also don't believe that she's who she presents herself as.
Hmm.
yeah.
There's that overly familiar way about her, the got your back girl, and the way she's always with Julian, and by extension with the Turners, and seems so comfortable and go with the flow.
And yet Leanne completely ignores her.
Yeah,
Pretends like
yeah.
she's not even there.
What?
Well,
Yeah,
she's angry. She's
there's that
upset.
jealousy bit there, but
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
she doesn't seem to
Hurts.
sense danger from
Hurts.
Vera.
No.
But I also think that's a problem. Like, isn't that like perhaps she's so blinded by her jealousy and by putting her focus elsewhere, and possibly even her trust of Julian, because she
Mhm.
cares about him. She trusts that he wouldn't bring somebody into the home that would be dangerous. And yet because of that, she's not looking at Vera, and maybe she should be.
Like
That's a good
critically.
point.
That she's missing something because of
Like she's
that.
more upset about the disconnection rather than
Right.
like the intrusion.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because she's upset about everybody else that's being intrusive and not this person who's clearly odd.
Well, she felt bad for a different reason. So like maybe that's interesting because like it would gloss over my threat because it's more of a personal
Mm-hmm.
rather I mean the other part of it's personal too.
It would be a neat trick if it kind of turns Leanne's warnings back on her, like it'll be the last person that you suspect. It'll
Mm-hmm.
be someone that you won't immediately identify as a threat. They'll slip in unnoticed. Leanne is so focused on the jealousy that, yeah, she doesn't realize it's a real
That
danger.
it might be a danger.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Well, yeah,
So,
but I'm a big boo on Vera. I I don't like her.
Oh, she's great.
I don't like that character. We're gonna fight again.
That's fine. I mean, I like her otherwise, like outside of servants. Maybe that's what I'm coloring it with. But yeah, no, she's pretty neutral, I think.
Eh.
Eh.
so do we all agree that Leanne created the swarm of bees?
Oh, for
Or
sure.
yeah,
No, I'm pretty sure that's a theme. This where we see more of that this season.
mm-hmm.
She's locked in a room, or not locked in a room, but she's been sent to her room or told to stay. And she sees the wild bee and smiles. She smiles, I think, in that moment because it's like, but then she starts talking to Aunt Josephine, or the ghost of, or corpse of,
Yeah.
saying, you want me out, but I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going to leave this house. Again, the tears down the face. Not the same as when the seagulls attacked, but similar enough. And then the bees, what a great way to get the mommies out of the house, the threat out. Since she couldn't be down there to watch them or continue to warn the Turners, she got them out with the bees.
Mm-hmm.
I think it makes sense that she
Definitely
caused the storm.
But for
and
sure.
it's not, so another fun bee fact, it's called an absconsion, not a swarm. It's when bees leave a hive that's no longer inhabitable, they abscond. So they absconded.
But they died.
Only a couple.
They came and they died.
They didn't come and die. They
I
left.
mean,
A lot of them left on the people.
But they did
on the
make
mommy
but
group.
they did make a point to show some of them like
Mhm.
They showed the 3 on the table, but that
right.
was it.
You think
And
that was symbolic?
Sean noted that he wasn't stung. He was the closest,
Mm-hmm.
I think, and didn't get stung. But no, it's normal for a few bees to die in the process. When there's a swarm, half of the hive stays behind.
Mm.
If there's 2 queens in a hive, the younger queen will leave with half the hive to start a new swarm, a new colony. The older queen will stay behind with the other half.
Mm.
But in this case, the hive was loosened supposedly by the surveillance installation guys.
Mm-hmm.
Fell, and the hive absconded.
Now, I was also thought it was interesting when Leanne was talking to the Aunt Josephine corpse. I was just thinking about how she's been doing that and kind of monologuing at what we're presuming is the corpse, but she also is looking, that camera was there for a while too. And it does make me wonder if she's actually talking to whoever's watching or listening.
Right. But
But if she
that camera was placed by Sean,
right.
Right.
not the
Yeah.
cult.
But I'm just saying, just still an acknowledgement that she knows that they're present in some way.
I think it's the corpse.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's the corpse. Because they show that hole where the moths came out last
Yeah.
episode. And
Yeah.
then do they show it this again? Do they show the body again?
No,
They
not
showed
this
No?
episode.
Okay.
And
But yeah, I think that issue that's what was like being
Yeah.
implied. That she's like,
well, the way she keeps talking to that wall where the corpse is,
hmm.
you would think that was Aunt Josephine, but I think we've talked about suspicions that that's not really the corpse of Aunt Josephine.
Yeah. Yeah. I
But
feel
Look a
yeah,
little different.
something very mysterious there.
I see your point about, and I agree that we've wondered if maybe the cult is, dwelling in the walls or
It's just
in
her
another part of the
tone
house.
and the way she was talking to it this time, just to me felt more conversational. Which I mean, and you're not, it could be as simple as, yeah, she's just talking to the corpse. But it just kind of struck me that it just didn't. It felt like it could have been something else too.
She might feel more powerful, and she might feel like like
That's true.
whatever it is, like like what I'm learning how to like control myself now. So
Yeah, true. That's a good point.
The way that Leanne smiled when the bee came out and landed on her hand,
yeah,
and then, but there were also tears, and then she begins the monologue to Aunt Josephine.
I felt like her smile was her realizing what she could do.
Yeah.
you think she was more aware of it this time? Ooh, pardon.
Here's an idea.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I think it was like, oh, that's what I can do, kind of a thing.
Yeah, I agree.
The layers and the desperation hurt so much because like it gets ruined by the bees, and then Dorothy's like, "I just wanted to have this party," and everyone's like, "Yep."
Okay, so did the party seem a little weird? It's a mommy group party.
Yeah, people do that.
Mommies and babies, but
Yeah.
the cuisine is Caribbean with a goat head and
My husband's a dick chef. Like, we make weird stuff like
weird food
that nobody ate.
that nobody ate.
Waspy white mommies or waspy mommies that don't eat, and the stuff they did, the yoga,
I think more like busy bees than waspy. I'm gonna keep getting bee puns in, y'all.
well, and the buzz buzz song, but
so many stingers.
indeed.
Indeed.
The events all seemed very disparate. Like we're going to sing a song, and now we're going to do yoga, and now we're going to make bird feeders,
I
and now
think
we're going to
those things are
the
kind of
ice
like
cream truck, and
But good Lord,
I don't have children, but
those
like those
babies
things
aren't
are
going to last
kind
that
of
long.
no, and babies aren't going to do crafts and stuff like that. I
No,
don't think it was
absolutely not.
strange. It may have been
it also
overkill, but I don't
seemed a
think
little weird.
it's
It
all a
didn't
little
seem like
weird.
your
Mr.
typical,
Smiley.
and goddamn Mr. Smiley, who wasn't even a clown.
He was fine. It's fine. He's just some guy. It's all right. Like Ref,
I did think it was
whatever.
strange that he skipped over every other baby and didn't say their name. And Jericho was,
Yeah, I noticed. I tracked that too. I was like,
I'm just
why?
And he
observing it.
did,
I don't know
I
what it
knew that as I
yeah.
was watching it. I was like, this mother's not going to say this boy's name, and I'm like, yeah.
And he just
and did
skipped every other.
a sound bath, which would frighten most infants.
Depending, but yeah, no, I know what you mean. Like, not everything is. It's like an
It just was
oversensory.
very
It's like
off.
overwhelming.
Yeah.
I don't think he was necessarily suspicious. Just,
Well, he
I don't
didn't.
know.
I don't know. He sang what, 2 songs and then went to the bathroom.
Yeah, but
And he
everybody
was
disappeared though. That was weird. That was like framed weirdly too. Like she came down and everybody was gone. Like everybody was gone.
So
which
what
is
was
very strange because I don't think that every single one of those people would go out for an ice cream man.
And
An ice
like,
cream truck.
why are you going to the ice cream truck with your baby? Like, my
Yeah,
baby wants a bomb pop. What are we doing?
yeah,
right?
it made no sense.
I mean, I
And
guess children, but like,
But still.
kind of, yeah.
again,
And if those moms are all like that type of mom, I'm sure many of them don't eat sugar and wouldn't want their baby to be eating
That's
sugar.
right.
So I just find it hard to
Exactly.
believe that they'd all rush out to the ice cream truck as though
It could just be one of those perspective things that, like, the paranoia being like, oh, everybody's gone. Well,
true.
even the lighting was different, but they did go. Why would
no, I
don't know.
think we're meant to understand that everyone left, but
Yeah.
it goes along to what I was saying about the whole party seemed off.
hmm
They weren't typical things that you would do with infants that age, with mothers of that type.
I feel
With-
like I don't know. I feel like you would. I mean, I don't have children, but I feel like I've seen things like that.
You're planning a party for mothers and infants.
Infants. You see, that's
And
the
what's
thing.
on the list of things we're going to do? We're going to sing songs with a children's
Makes-
performer.
makes
That makes sense.
That makes sense.
And then we're going to do yoga. Okay,
Yeah,
maybe
I could
like
see that.
mom and me yoga.
Yeah, if
And
we
then a
have money.
sound bath. And
Sure.
we're going to eat Caribbean food involving ingredients that are
I think that's probably just to show off the like look at my husband kind of a thing. Not even for
Right, but-
fun specifically, just
Yeah,
like
I kind
look what we
of
can
agree. I tend to
look
agree.
what we can do with like the money we have or whatever. Or like let's
right,
make
but
it
it was very adventurous food.
Definitely.
yeah, and they did make a point for her to like announce it, which I guess you would do, but also like there's really no you're gonna eat it or you're not.
And then we're going to make bird feeders.
Also
I don't know.
fine.
It's just,
I
it all
I
seems
I can
weird.
kind of all like rationalize that, I think.
I saw someone suggest that perhaps like the woman that was trying to trigger Dorothy's buttons on what happened.
That was
Okay.
wonderful.
Someone mentioned that she really didn't seem to relate to her baby and they didn't look anything alike. And the suggestion was perhaps that woman was actually there,
Like some kind of a plant.
like a plant. Yeah. Which I thought was kind of plausible. Because otherwise you're going, why on earth is this woman pushing this in
I
this
thought
way?
that too, because I was like, why would you not
Yeah.
even because of like the reality of the sensitivity of the situation, but like why would you like oh didn't I see something happen to you? And I'm
In
like,
that
no,
circumstance.
like no, not I mean that was yeah, it was some no, but like really, like I thought like I mean some people do suck. Some people are just like nosy and whatever, but like it was a little forceful. But I don't know
It
if I felt
was.
that way because it's like we know what we know. Or
in my notes, I
It's
just wrote,
forceful.
Mhm.
in my notes, I just wrote, bitch.
I mean, yeah, kind of. I was like, oh my
But remember Dorothy said that she met these women on a text thread or she knew them through a text thread or text chat.
Mhm.
She could easily have been an infiltrator. I wonder
Oh,
if
yeah.
maybe she was a reporter,
Right.
like not a cult member, but someone trying to get a story.
Sure.
Because she felt, she was asking, "Aren't you the? Don't we watch you on the news? You're a celebrity."
Well, the
She
other
knew who
woman,
Dorothy was.
yeah, well, the other woman
So
said that too, that they watch her every day, or they watch her
Even
I
though
thought
we
it was
haven't
the
seen her
woman
go
that
to work in quite a while, or anybody for
well,
that matter.
3 months.
no,
I
Is
mean,
anybody
we don't
working at this
know.
point? No.
That's been a
but
consistent thing
I
too.
thought the woman that was pushing and poking was the same one that said, "We watch you all the time." Anyway, she noted that Dorothy's a local celebrity and knew what she did for a living, or
Mhm.
used to do for a living. Had seen her on TV, and it would be a local story if she could get confirmation or information about what happened in this woman, in the death of her infant son, and what role she might have had in it. Her poking and prodding would make sense if that was if that was her intention.
Mm.
And I thought it looked like she might have been wearing a wig, but
Mm-hmm.
it's just been bad hair.
Yeah, she had pretty
But
intense
that
hair.
a bitch with bad hair. But that makes more sense
Always
to me than a cult member. That was just my thought.
so salty.
Sorry.
So guys,
No,
Like,
no, 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 that's fine.
before we wrap this up, is there any other sort of Easter eggs or anything that we felt were would be worth mentioning?
well, okay, timey-wimey stuff. Uh, is it March? Is it September? Ice cream truck in March?
I feel like, I mean, I'm in New Jersey, which I guess is relatively whatever, but like I feel like maybe late March you could see one or two, maybe. But yeah, that's kind of strange.
I'm in Wisconsin,
Well, you
where
guys
it's
are colder, but yeah.
been below zero this week.
hmm
Um,
Yeah.
no, they don't come out until July.
Yeah, sometimes it's warm like the end of March here, so I could maybe see that in Philadelphia, but I don't know. Like, yeah, that is
If it were
I don't know.
September, sure.
September is fine. Yeah, sure, for sure. Absolutely.
But March? Ah,
Uh,
It depends. I
yeah,
could see it.
could go either way, but
Yeah.
still, that could be another mystery.
Yeah.
the goat on Sean's apron, the goat head,
Oh
the
yes.
black embroidered goat head.
Hmm.
I thought that was interesting. There was a honeycomb motif throughout the show or the
Hmm.
episode that we
What did you
saw.
make of the blood being spilled on Leanne? The goat's blood.
That's, I mean, sacrifice or like being marked for sacrifice
Martyred.
or being,
Mhm.
or
Mhm.
that,
Mhm.
or, it could be because she was wearing that collar for a reason, and I'm assuming that reason was to get stained and then have to try to like wash it out to like.
Mhm.
Hmm, I guess we'll need to see what's going on.
And
With
clothing
that
wise, we've seen Leanne wearing more and more black.
Hmm
She used
black
to
and
wear a lot
white.
of white and blue. So I think the more black that she wears, the more indicative it is of the darkness growing in her. I also thought it was cool because I thought that the dress collar looked like the poster, the artwork where she's coming through the wall. So I thought
Oh
that was
yeah.
an interesting little connection as well.
Tearing away the wallpaper, like.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I also I noted earlier when we were chatting that it seems like she's dressing more and more like Aunt Josephine,
Like almost all black.
like a position of power.
Yeah.
Like attending like a funeral or some such.
Well, yeah, just dressing older than her age. That
Hmm
that collar,
Mhm.
that style was not age matching.
Very true.
Oh, it's like a whole different like century or something like.
Hmm.
Uh,
Yeah, very
oh,
different
that was
age.
something oh
Puritanical.
yeah, exactly. I was gonna say
Yes.
tribal, but that's yeah, puritanical,
Puberty.
like more
Yeah.
like a reserved like
Oh
before
yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, guys,
Have we gotten it all out for the week?
I think we did. I mean, I'm sure we didn't, but I think we did.
Got a lot out.
It was
Yeah.
fantastic. I'm sure we'll circle back with other things, but yeah, for now, I feel like that covers most of it.
I really liked this episode a lot.
This was absolutely my favorite episode of all 3 seasons so far.
Why was it
Really?
your favorite,
Wow.
Aunt?
I it's like not even like contextually, but everything like so much came together. Like it just was like one like heightening thing after another.
Mhm.
And like so much was revealed. We didn't even talk about that last scene with her in the bath with Dorothy in the bathtub. Like it was just such like a perfect like concentration of like everything so far. And like how like everybody's like dependent on each other, but also like at odds with each other. It's like such a oh, God, this show.
Mm.
I don't know. I don't even know how to sum it up into words really.
No, I agree. Yeah.
Yeah,
And you
it's
can
ridiculous.
see Dorothy. I do think I do believe I think that by the end of this season she will know what happened. She will remember and wake up to what happened to Jericho.
It could very well be she's so vulnerable, but so like powerful in her delusion, I suppose. Even though like it's not like totally in her control. Like oh
She's a massive contradictions.
So good.
God.
Lauren
Makes me
Ambrose is just absolutely brilliant.
oh, she's brilliant.
If
Uh,
she
She
ever hears
deserves
this, please know we think that you should get all of the awards, Lauren.
seriously. Oh my god, she's
All of
doing
the
so
awards.
much. She's doing so much.
Mm,
So
so
much.
much.
It's ridiculous.
So much.
just
She's
incredible
amazing.
performance week after week. Just wonderful. All
Carries
of
the
them,
show.
but especially Lauren, because it's just so
Yeah.
layered with
I know
all.
everybody's fantastic, but she's so like it's so raw.
Mhm.
She's bringing something really special to that
Mhm.
performance.
Yeah. Until next week.
All right.
Well, thanks for listening, you guys. And we're excited for episode 3, which is going to be titled Hair. So, yes,
I hadn't caught that.
it's called Hair. So, if you have any theories or comments, please make sure to leave them below. And we definitely want to keep the conversation going. If you're not already, yeah. If you're not already subscribed, please hit the subscribe button and ring the bell so you get notifications when we drop new podcast or video casts.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, thanks again for listening. And this is Alyssia, Liz, and Ant with Servant Decoded, and we'll see you next time.